Hello and welcome to Crazy Danish Hacker. Today we're going to install a custom version of the gr-osmosdr drivers and gqrx, which allows us to get 124 MHz of bandwidth with BladeRF. First we will need to download Ubuntu. We can get the desktop version from this website and just click download. And take me to the download. Now I've already downloaded the ISO file, so I don't need to do that again. I've saved it here, and we can now create a new virtual machine fairly easily. And yes, customize hardware. Yep, we want to give it a bit more RAM. And maybe give the image a little bit, or not image, the emulated graphics driver a bit more RAM too. And click finish. So now we're just waiting for it to start up, and then we will install it, which is very easy to do. We could run it as a live CD, but I'm not sure, but I think it's going to auto install it for us, so we can pretty much just sit back and wait until it's finished installing. I know that some other operating systems or versions of Ubuntu you can just run and play with, but in this case we want a virtual machine that we can use in the future for other stuff. So now that it has finished installing, we can try and log in. Just wait a few moments again, since it's the first time that it's starting up. And make the desktop full screen maybe? No? Well, let's take a look at the settings then, because this screen is a bit too small. Let's see, where is the full HD setting? That's not full HD, but we'll just set it to that for now. Let's see. I guess we can try this as well. That looks all right. It's not perfect, but it looks all right. All right, so the next thing that we want to look at is that we want to open Firefox, and then we need to go to the Novant website, go to blog, and then we need to check out this blog entry. So the easiest way to run this is basically, you shouldn't follow these instructions blindly, because you will experience a lot of issues. So instead we are going to install new radio, gr-osmosdr and gqrx from apt-get, and then we're going to install on top of that, because that way we will get all the dependencies that we need to compile this software. So we will install these two libraries, and we just have to search for gqrx because it's different on Ubuntu. See, it's SDR. And as you can see, we have to download a lot more. So now we'll just download more stuff, and then we will wait until it has been installed. During installation, or actually before you run apt-get and then install, you may want to change the repositories from us.archive.ubuntu.com to something else, because otherwise you may get a slow connection. For example, I'm getting half a megabyte per second, and I can download with around 12 to 16 megabytes per second if the mirror would support that, and of course the latency and the connection and all that. So that's worth noting as well. So now that it has finished installing, we just want to check that we have a few tools that we need. For example, we need make, we need gcc, and we also need git. So git is, for example, not installed, so we will just install that. We also need the BladeRF drivers, so we will just go support, and then we need the FPGA, and we also need the BladeRF from GitHub. So we'll just save that in the home directory, and then we will go to github.com/nuand, and we will get the BladeRF from here. So we will git clone this as I've shown in another video, and then we will just install it. So first we will just go in here, cd host, make directory build, go into that directory, cmake, we also need to install cmake, yes, of course. Cmake ... and we have an error, so we need to fix that as well. Alright, so it looks like we may have to install libusb, so let's just search for that. Let's try again. Just delete the files and try again. Alright, so it looks like we can compile it now. Let's see. Let's see if we can compile it. And then we just need to run make install with sudo in front of it. And now we should be able to test it. So we will just connect our BladeRF to Ubuntu. And I think that we may have to change the USB controller. Let's just see. Yep. So we need to say manage virtual machine settings, USB controller, and set it to 3.0. And just let it refresh the virtual machine. Let's try and run lsusb again. And now it has been found, so that's a good sign. So we will run BladeRF, CLI, and P. and that looks fine. So we will just go here and load the hosted. Alright, so it looks like it is working despite this simple lookup error, which is a bit weird because I haven't seen that before. That may be because of a recent version. We could Google the error, but let's just see if we can run the default gqrx and see if it works or not. So it looks like it's working, so that means that we can try and modify or install the modified version now. So we will go back to the blog entry, and now we can try these commands. So first we need to git clone this here. And go into the directory, make directory build, cmake. I don't think we need to specify this prefix here, we'll just see. And then we will try make, and we will just run them separately. We won't try them in a row like this, we'll just do it separately. So now that it has finished installing, or not installing, compiling, we can do sudo make install and sudo ld config. And then we can try and compile and install the customized version of gqrx. So we'll just git clone this. Go into the directory and repeat the same steps as before. So in order to fix this Qt5 error, we actually need to download and install the Qt5 libraries. So that's not super fun, but we need to do that. So just search for Qt5, and let's see, it's qt.io. So we'll just go here, download, see, open source, yes, yes. And download. And in some cases this website may not work, but most of the time it does work. Just keep in mind that sometimes there are some issues, and then you may have to get the offline installer. And as you can see, these files are huge. So we will just confirm which kernel we are running. We are running 64-bit. So that means that we need to use, for example, this library here. So we will just save that as well, because this file will most likely just try and download the files from the website, and it may be even slower than just downloading it directly. So now that it has finished downloading, we can run the offline installer instead. So we'll open a new terminal, and then we will make this executable and run it. Once it has finished installing all the components, then we can compile gqrx. So now it has finished installing, and we can just untick this and click finish. And we can confirm that the libraries are located here. So now we will try and run cmake again and see what happens. So we may have to see if we can have a look at where the CMake files are. So what we will do is that we will go into the directory and then we will search for CMake files. And it looks like this is the directory. So we will go into that directory, and if it looks like this, then you're in the right place. And then just run pwd, and we will use this path as an argument to CMake. So remove all the files again, CMake d, and then it's CMake prefix path is equal to, and that's basically from here. So if we try again, it should work now. So it almost works, but we still need Pulse Audio as well. So now we need to install Pulse Audio maybe. So we run apt-get search Pulse Audio. And let's see. We will install the development files. And then we will try again. First we will just clear and run it again. So now it is finally working. So now we can actually compile the program. So after all these issues, it should work now, and that's nice because it is quite of a hassle just to get this program compiled and installed. So we'll run make, and hopefully it will work now. So now that it has finally finished compiling, we can run sudo make install. Type the wrong password and ld-config. Alright, so after it has been installed, we may not be able to use gqrx like this. I'm not sure why, but in this case it didn't work. I'm not sure why. It should have installed it, but it didn't. So we'll just run it from the source directory instead. So we'll run gqrx with the reset flag. Then we will say BladeRF, and then we will set the sample rate to this, which is 124 million samples instead of just 40. So we got 3 more options now. So we'll just run OK. And let's go to 950 again. But as you can see, we are almost browsing over 100 megahertz of bandwidth, so that's really cool. So as you can see now, it's a lot different, or it's completely different, I would say, almost. So in this case it looks like it's mirror images, some of it, but let's go to 2.4 and have a look at the Wi-Fi. So here we should be able to see over 100 megahertz of bandwidth. So that's pretty cool that we can view this much different traffic at the same time. Even though if we look here, you can see that this is where it's stitched together. So you can see these lines here. So that means that it's not perfect, but it's good enough for a spectrum analyzer, for example. So we can, for example, zoom in a bit over here. Maybe not. But anyway, that's how you get 124 megahertz of bandwidth in gqrx with the BladeRF. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe.